It's loading. We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of AEW Weekly. This is episode 2. We are on the road to AEW All in Wembley. We're here to talk about the ongoings of AEW over the last 7 days. If you tuned in last week, you would have seen our thoughts on the future of the Owen Hart Cup and who we thought were going to win. If we got their predictions right, we're about to find out. Joined here as always by Mark O'Brien, our resident AEW Mark by name, Mark by nature. Mark, how are things?
Mark is very tired. Mark is up very late Irish time watching AEW wrestling plus get a day's work. But yeah, I'm absolutely excellent. It was a outstanding episode of television. Some production issues which probably derailed some of the quality for a lot of people, I think. But in terms of what was produced, start to finish, it was absolutely magnificent. Absolutely incredible. I absolutely loved every second of it. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal from start to finish. Normally, when I'm watching AEW, there's always like a bookend. The start is always really hot, and the finish is always really hot, and then there's all, some squash matches or fillers in between that sometimes I just fall out of it and get back into it before the main event. But tonight, or sorry, last night's episode of Dynamite was like continuous. Like it started off with the Osprey promo on MJF, and it continued on with Hangman and Swerve, and the story arc throughout the whole episode was all leading towards next week and beyond into All In. So it was just a story arc throughout the whole episode. But even last week, Saturday's episode of Collision was something similar. Like that had a similar feel to it. It started off hot with the MJF promo on Will Ospreay, and this week and Dynamite started off with the vice versa. So really enjoyed the opening 2 promos for Collision and Dynamite.
It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, listen, we've got comments here and there from Hassan Albana. Incredible Dynamite, but man, Hangman screwed again by AEW. I don't think so. I think it was the most logical thing in the world to put Hangman there with Swerve in the main event for AEW All In. But you've got to trust the process. Immediately after that match, he was teased to have 2 big matches for AEW All In immediately afterwards. He's also been thrust straight back into the main event in the coming weeks, still with his relationship with Swerve. He's going to be in that Blood and Guts match on Team Elite. He's made it clear he's not part of the Elite. He's there doing a favor purely to get his hands on Swerve. So what does that lend us to? So I think next week we've got Hangman versus Okada in the 250th episode of Dynamite. Hassan, I think Hangman's going to feature in some shape or form there. I think you're likely going to see Okada beat Swerve off the back of that. And then from there, to go into Blood and Guts. And then from there, somehow you'll then pivot into, I reckon, a Swerve Hangman title match before All In. And then somehow they'll be featured into... to be then pivoting in towards either Hangman Okada or Hangman Moxley. That's just my views anyway.
Before All In or after?
I reckon after Blood and Guts there'll be some sort of pit stop for the Hangman Swerve feud.
I'm not so sure now because our predictions, if anybody watched last week's our prediction, we were predicting Hangman would win and go on to All In and face.
Yeah, but we also predicted that he'd be in the Blood and Guts match as well. So
yeah. But it would have been nice to have them to tell the story of they were getting their hands on each other in Blood and Guts, and then they were going to go on. But
what did you do for 6 weeks then?
Say again.
What would you do for 6 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever? Then how do you?
That's been a problem. Now that they're so far away, what do you do with anybody between now and then? I think you're going to keep MJF and Ospreay away from each other that long.
I think you keep building. I think if you're going to do, say, the WWE model, you do they're going to do a face-to-face talk. They're going to have a contract signing. They're going to have all these little contrived, convoluted pit stops that's formulaic, that's regurgitated for how to elongate rivalries constantly. That's not really that's not how men operate. Do you know what I mean? If I've got an issue with you, I don't care. That's not how an adult would operate. If I've got an issue, sorry, it's bullshit. If Hangman and Swerve got an issue, they'd have it out, and it's oh no, sorry, I can't have it out with you because I didn't win a match. No, they're going to still have it out regardless before the end of August. I think that's the most logical thing in the world, that they're going to still try to do something early August between the pair of them off the back of Blood and Guts. I think you saw teases last night with obviously Hangman and Okada. That would be brilliant. You saw teases with Hangman Moxley through his interaction with Renee Paquette. I'd actually tweeted out before he had that interaction with Renee Paquette, so Hangman Moxley, anyone? Purely because as soon as I thought, okay, well, that's Hangman out now, he's not going to be in the world title pick. What do you do with him? Okada just didn't feel that's kind of too elite world, and I think despite him doing the blood and guts match, he's not really in the elite sphere anymore. He's going to be kept away from that. I don't know, universe or toxic energy universe and whatever it is. I'd keep him away from that as long as possible and have him do his own thing. Then who else needs a big singles match in the AEW roster that's out of that kind of eco world? That'd be Jon Moxley. And I think they're the two most natural rivals if they can get that reignited, and it would keep the same energy the Hangman has currently with Swerve Strickland, that kind of violent, negative energy, with somebody who's not going to back down like Swerve Strickland in Jon Moxley. So that I think that's the best possible course of action currently, given that he's not going to be fighting Swerve Strickland at All In.
Well, like with Okada, like that's a match like that's already got a story. Like they don't like each other from their New Japan days. There's a built-in story there. And if you had told me 2 years ago that Okada and Hangman, if they were having a match at All In, was going to be like the 5th or 6th most important match on the card, you would have laughed at me. Like when Hangman was champion, they're like, oh, we're going to get Okada and Hangman at some stage, and they're like, no way, that's never going to happen in AEW. When it's happening now, and it's not even going to be the biggest match on All In if it does end up happening there. Same with Hangman and Moxley, that wouldn't even be the biggest match in the card either.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you can't have your cake and eat it.
Oh yeah, I know. But I'm saying it's cool that you have that option. That there's so many bigger matches.
I know. But it's also like if you want to make AEW All In as big as it can be, and everybody's got their own match. Everybody, in terms of fans, the way AEW is presented is like it's not just one match is be all end all. It's driving all the programming. There's so many different little programs that are going on throughout, and that's kind of the way it's always been. So, there's been a lot of engagement on Twitter for the past few days. People, even last night, people who are usually toxic pro AEW people, give it like who are saying we'll die in the wool, they'll ride or die, all that kind of shit on Twitter, who've been kicking up a stink, saying like, oh my god, how dare they give away Ospreay versus MJF on free TV? They're also giving away Swerve Okada on free TV. Like, how could they do this? That's the example of that cake and eat it attitude a lot of AEW fans are. They want to be able to dictate what's happening on the TV. Whereas previously they were saying, oh, there's not enough big matches. They put things off too long. Whereas nothing's being put off here. You're having these big matches. You're having on the biggest stage possible, AEW's 250th episode, where there's going to be so many executives in town, and you're on the road to All In. This is all building towards one huge event. This summer's been planned out at length, like ad nauseum, very, very carefully. And you've seen that, what's gone on TV the past few weeks. I think it's... People can say like, oh no, like we don't want these matches. It should feel bigger. But like, what's it going to feel bigger than? What do you replace to make Okada? I'm not saying you, Jerry, but other people. Like, what would you replace in the card that makes Hangman Okada more important if that's going to be your All-In main event? Well, like, okay, you can have it, but like, what's going to replace? Do you know what I mean? Like, why not have loads of important matches? It doesn't have to be a one-match card like many WrestleManias are.
Don't forget All Out is only 2 weeks after that. And
who's to say a lot of these won't be at All Out? Like it's and I think I see like the likes of Danny Garcia will probably be headlining All Out. He might necessarily be headlining All In, but that's the nature and variety of AEW as a product.
Well, like they mentioned, like he's going to be out for, they said he's going to be out for up to 6 months, if that's story arc or not, or if he's actually legitimately injured. It hasn't been confirmed if he is or not.
But they've also talked about the weekend, Daddy Magic talking about the Dick Dance is dead, and it's going to be the return of Red Death, which in itself is a good confirmation that he wasn't being written off storyline-wise or being finished up with AEW. It's actually, there is plans in the future with them, and he's obviously been committed to invest in them. They'd have just stopped talking about it entirely, or wouldn't have teased him come back at any point at all. So, I assume he's going to feature in the All-In main event, and then he'll end up with MJF at All Out. That's my assumption.
Let's talk about who is in the main event of All In, which is Danielson winning that tournament. To a lot of people's surprise, who were predicting Hangman, but what does it do for Danielson on his way? He's on his way out. It's going to be, we were all like thinking maybe at his last match might have been Swerve in Dakota, Washington, whenever that came around. But
I think it still will be.
You still think it's going to be a rematch?
Yeah.
And Danielson, Swerve, you think he's beating Swerve?
At All In, yeah. I think he then puts him over in his hometown. I think Tony wants to he'll do the same thing as he did with Sting. In terms of going out as champion.
Going out as champion.
Bryan Danielson loves to lie. He's a wonderful man who loves a lie, and he's a man after my own heart.
He said he didn't want.
But it's so funny. Oh, he's giving stories of Sports Illustrated. Oh, I want nothing to do with the world title. And then if you listen to Wrestling Observer Radio today, like that's very much been a careful ploy on his part. This has been a long-term story that this is going to be his not final hurrah, but he's going to be headlining All In. So yeah, it's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And Swerve, we talked about it a minute ago. Swerve and Okada for next week at the 250th episode.
Yeah. Interesting fact: there's only 288 episodes of WCW Nitro, by the way.
Catching up.
There you go. There you go. And they're not going to be given any sort of TV deal equal to what AEW are about to get. So,
what are they about to get? What have you heard?
Lots and lots of money. Lots and lots of money. And I would not be surprised if it's announced next week. And I also...
with all the executives in the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's announced next week. And I also wouldn't be... AEW are going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con in a few weeks, and there's going to be tie-ins with Warner Brothers, their Warner Brother DC franchise, Adult Swim, and a load of other tie-ins as well. So there's a lot of things I think have already been confirmed.
Interesting.
Yes.
The other Owen Hart final that happened last night, which is probably some of the best storytelling that I've seen on a wrestling TV show in a long, long time. Mariah May beating Willow Nightingale. Predictably, we knew Chris Statlander and Stokely were going to have some sort of involvement. It didn't actually kind of led to the finish, not exactly led to the finish, but Mariah May turning on Toni Storm out of the blue. I know she had to do something, otherwise it would have been just two friends having a match over a title. So this turn was so perfectly executed. It was, phenomenal for me. What did you think of it?
Well, over the last couple of weeks, we've on this program. Indeed, this the second episode. We actually went into detail last week about the movie All About Eve, and what the actual turnout of that story is, whereby the starlet, the older lady who's supposed to be Toni Storm in this instance, befriends a younger fan who wants to become her and all that kind of stuff. Then the younger fan takes over and turns on her. That's essentially what happens in the film, and that's exactly what happened last night. Sorry, it's a moth.
Session moth?
That's what happens. That's what happened last night. That's predictably where it's been going to. It was so well done. I didn't know if Mariah May was capable of that. Like you knew she can wrestle, and she's very, very good at that. But in terms of like how she vicious she was, and that's really where your acting chops comes into angles and all that kind of stuff. Being able to absolutely welly the piss out of Mariah May and Luther with the belt, without not holding back, and then rubbing her face in blood and stuff, her facials, her visuals. It's absolutely incredible. Like it was really
using the shoe against Toni Storm. Like
there you go. That's wow. Jesus, what a cinematic plot point there.
It would have been easy for them to say, Toni Storm was going to be the one to turn. Toni's been a heel. She's kind of been a heel. This gimmick has been in and out of.
Well, thankfully, you and I are here, and we explained all about Evie the movie, which is this sole storyline is based on, and we explained in detail that wouldn't be happening. Yeah.
But I'm saying it would have been easy for them just to do that. So I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad Mariah's going to,
I think this is the only way you could do it. I honestly think it's the only way you could do it. I don't think anything would have been gained by Toni Storm continuing to be a heel and suddenly being mean to her protege.
But they're going to Wembley. Mariah is from the UK.
Yes, and
going to
London.
Going to get the biggest pop of her career.
Will she though?
I think she will.
I mean, she only wrestled in Hustle in the UK. She didn't wrestle like a lot of places. She wasn't.
I don't think it matters.
For all intents and purposes, like to a UK fan base, she might as well be considered a Japanese or American wrestler. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like she was.
But if they come out and they announce her being from whatever part of London she's from, the place is going to erupt.
And do you reckon most of the crowd are all from London?
No, of course not. But, a percentage of them, a good percentage of them are going to be from the UK, so it's still UK talent.
The UK, from Europe, from America, as we know from last time, from Ireland. I mean, for example, last year at All In, they announced a Fulham fixture and the whole arena started booing. So, like,
Yeah.
there's all these sort of machinations. Like, okay, she's from London. Cool, but like, none of us
get a
home. WrestleMania. Like, it's like when they go to WrestleMania a few years ago, his son Cole came back, and he came out and he was like, "I'm doing it for Texas," and like, we're all like, "Cool, none of us are from Texas."
Who cares?
But, like, all right, we're in Texas. That just happens to be where this is held. The hometown has got nothing to do with it, but yeah, not going to be cool to be for Mariah May to be performing at Wembley. She may have had football dreams as a child. You never know.
Maybe that's the dream. They play in Wembley.
Yeah. Who knows?
Win the cup. She won a cup. She already won the cup, so she's won the title at Wembley. So.
Yeah, speaking of titles and speaking of Wembley, there was a man called Pac, a bastard of a man, who won a global galactic four-way or whatever it was termed. Where poor Kyle Fletcher got beaten up badly by Claudio Tomohiro Ishii and Pac repeatedly, and he was suffering terribly, but Pac won it anyway. And off the back of it, he's got a number one contendership to the international title. Now, and he gave a promo afterwards. I'm a bastard. Jon Snow, I'm a bastard. And he did his deep, slow Geordie accent. And I've been away for too long. And I'm going to have my all-in moment. Because I am a bastard. And whatever. Did that. He's got a one-on-one title shot for the international title. So I now assume that MJF, Ospreay next week, no titles on the line, I assume.
Is it not? Did they not announce that?
Is it? I didn't even notice. I don't really care about the title of that. It could be brilliant. Whoever wins that will then face Pac. I reckon like a week later, maybe.
But he wants it at Wembley, right?
No. Well, he might know his number one title match.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say at Wembley. He's gonna have his Wembley moment, but he's gonna MJF Ospreay next week. The following week he'll do Pac. Or maybe a week after, a Pac versus the winner of that for the international title. Whoever lost that match will cost the other, and Pac will be an international champion. MJF and Ospreay will go on to All In, just the two of them. They don't need a title for that match. Pac will then defend the international title at Wembley. I predict against Cesaro, or Claudio, rather. He was on screen in shot for all of Pac's thoughts and musings at the end of his match last night. He's the only one who was. Maybe does it like a four-way or something. Possibly. I think yeah, probably be like a four-way, I'd say, for that title. That's my prediction anyway for All In.
Maybe a ladder match.
No, fuck no.
Come on,
no.
Come on.
Do not suggest gardening and DIY tools matches. We are not garbage men. We do not like garbage.
Gardening. Would you rather have horseshoes and fucking bull rings or whatever else they had?
No.
In that
I like one-on-one, two-on-two. I like one-on-one and two-on-two wrestling. That's what I like. I like competition. To an extent, fatal four-ways. That makes more sense to me than triple threats anyway.
Well, what did you think of the Stampede match last night? Because there was no gardening tools, but there was a lot of weapons.
Fast forwarded a lot of it. I actually did. I went back and watched a fair bit, and then kind of just clickety-clicked through a lot. Kind of by the numbers kind of stuff that Jericho has these days because he's not able to go as well. He has a lot of hardcore matches with like horseshoes this week. Previously, it was hockey pucks when he was against Shibata. Kind of gimmicky stuff like that. And then
was it a right way to write Joe off because he's going off to film?
Season 2 good way, Danny.
Why wasn't Shibata and Hook?
Hook. Where was Hook? Where was it? Was Hook not injured or something?
Didn't say he was completely injured. I know Taz wasn't on commentaries because.
Yeah, why was Hook the week before?
They took him out, didn't they?
Yeah, so he's obviously taken out. Shibata, maybe traveling or abroad. I don't know. That wasn't explained.
But like the way they were building Hook and Shibata, and the way they built them up is if they're going for the trios titles, and now they're just.
No, I didn't think so. I think they're just doing units kind of stuff. It's more so to build up the learning tree as a group, to give them something to do as much as anything. All the while having two established guys working with the young guy and building up his profile to make him seem equitable between the three of them. So that's just a nice way of doing things. No, I never thought they were going for trio title. Never thought they may have teased it, but I never thought that was a realistic thing based on what else is going on in different episodes of television.
Yeah, well, like on Collision on Saturday, there was a lot of build towards the trios division. Outside of Jay White, and Hangman, they had what do they call themselves? The conglomeration, Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy and
Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, but even them, they're not. I don't think they're going for the AEW's titles. I think that's kind of a stopgap thing for them, where they've been feuding with people. They were kind of doing stuff with the Elite, like Jack Perry. Get your ass out of here, Jack Perry. And I think it's a stopgap because at the same time, Trent is feuding with Orange Cassidy. Kyle O'Reilly.
Is that not over yet?
That's kind of teased in the background. So you've got they're a group of 3 people with 3 different focuses. So you've got Mark Briscoe, who's focused on the Elite. Kyle O'Reilly, who's focused on the Undisputed Kingdom, like Roderick Strong and the Kingdom themselves. Then you've got Orange Cassidy, who's focused on the Don Callis people. So they're kind of 3 people who are like all mates, but they've all got like 3 different focuses, kind of different groups of people. And it's just good television because not everybody can be in the main event every week. I think, judge me, but that's it's just a good spot for them all to be featured on regular on television, all getting to show off their personality, do something slightly different. So no, I never thought they were. I think the trios title has been very much. It was House of Black before Buddy Murphy was injured. Then it's the Patriarchy and Bullet Club Gold. So that's kind of the 3 teams that be muddling about around that. I think.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but Collision was taped last night after Dynamite. Did you hear what happened? Or?
I read, yeah. Spoke with some people, yeah. It seemed quite good.
What happened with the trios?
That's just a storyline piece just to kind of accelerate the story. Because Jay White's supposed to be injured now. And it's a good way of getting Juice Robinson back involved. I think that was made. So they stripped the spoiler. Mute if you don't want to hear. Anyway, so the idea is that they take the titles off them and they have a rematch, a title match. Instead of just having a title match, why you do something slightly different, which is essentially what they did. Do you know what I mean? Instead of saying like, okay, we're going to give you Freebird rule, which is bullshit, and even though like WWE used it very briefly without actually explaining what that rule is ever. Freebird rule, Juice Robinson can replace Jay White. No, that doesn't make sense. Why don't we do something slightly different? We're going to have titles on the line. We're going to move Jay White out of that. Jay White, who's just been in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, who's also just the storyline slightly injured now. It's a good way of getting Juice Robinson back in a feature position. It's a good way of, say, the Patriarchy win. Jay White doesn't need to take a pin. Jay White doesn't need to lose anything, because then you can pivot then into an unbelievable match, which would be Jay White versus Christian at some point. Want to keep people strong as well. So that's kind of your booking hat on there now, thinking about that.
Yeah. Wouldn't mind seeing that actually. But Jay White and the Bullet Club Gold, are they, in the babyface stratosphere of things now? Are they moving?
They're pivoting towards that direction.
Yeah, I like them as just being assholes.
Yeah,
even if they're
too. Yeah, but I think I like Juice and I like Jay, but the Gun Club are trying too hard to be like kind of DXy cutesy, like kind of too pantomime-y WWE, too much low-hanging fruit humor. And it's just like they're really, really unbelievably good and athletic and selling and stuff like that. But the stuff they come out with is just like making me cringe. Stop being such losers. That's my view anyway.
Someone who's not a loser, Mercedes came out for her double title celebration.
Yeah, what a celebration it was. She had one table in the middle of the ring and one bottle of drinks with one shot glass.
No balloons.
No balloons. Who needs balloons?
No balloons.
You
can't celebrate without.
Yeah, she gave a pretty cool promo. She can see how much more confidence and how much more fun she's having week on week in AEW. I actually did, because in her body language, when she's like, I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Hey! And like the way she kind of sold it, and then even the way she sold when Britt Baker came out, like you can actually see her, like her confidence as a promo, and like, oh my god, it was just it just looked really, really good. I wasn't sure why she ran away, but anyway, yeah.
security guards, she knew they were going to be useless because
so what? Like, I mean, like, why does Britt Baker need to come in? They didn't have a fight the week before.
Maybe she was going to bring her to the dentist chair. She's going to pull some teeth out.
It didn't appear to be a dentist chair in the ring, but anyway. I mean, I don't see why she ran away. Britt Baker came out the week before and they talked.
Yeah.
So, like, and there was no obvious reason that there'd be an escalation to violence outside of a match. Like, didn't really make sense to me that, but it felt. Watching it live, you can think these things through, and you can talk about, like, in hindsight, it's this, that, and the other. But, like, watching it live, it felt cool. It felt good. And it felt like a good segment. It felt like it was very well done, and it felt big. There's another thing about the show itself. I think there's an issue with the production in AEW in terms
they
of
changed, from the LED board.
I mean, maybe those pieces of production of criminal records that couldn't get it across the border or something. I don't know. But more so, like, okay, so they obviously didn't have their normal, typical like screen where they on the entrance way. They didn't have the backdrop behind the kind of tunnels and stuff as well. So it was very black and looked weird. Also, they didn't have the LED lights around the ring or on the hoarding and whatnot, which I wasn't complaining about. I wasn't too halfway through the show. I noticed that part. But it's a regular thing with AEW shows. People in the arena live think it's an unbelievable atmosphere. I think it's really, really good. And you see the photos from Calgary last night. There were like 5,500 people there. The whole bottom tier was filled around. And people are saying, "Oh, the atmosphere is really good here in person." Didn't translate on TV. So is that an issue with your sounding? Is that an issue with your microphones? What is it? Like, I understand WWE pipe in sound, right? Mm-hmm. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, anytime they do the Dominic Mysterio thing, where, like, he tries to talk and suddenly the whole arena is booing like mad, but everybody's sitting down in the crowd. You can see it on camera. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can do it that way. You can fake it up and just make it a TV show, or you can be authentic. But you need to find a way to get the sound. I don't know if you're putting microphones in the crowd or what you're doing. There's some way of getting that sound translated across into TV. Because when you watch it on TV, it makes it feel smaller as a result. Because you're watching the first match between Danielson and Hangman, and that felt, I don't know, it felt muted at points. Even though you're seeing people who are live in the arena tweeting and saying, "Oh, this is an unbelievable atmosphere." You're watching people on camera who are jumping up and down, but it doesn't sound that way. And then when Swerve comes out, who's your world champion, and he's talking about, "I'm going to be in the blood and guts match," it sounds like that polite applause. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a disconnect.
It definitely is a production issue. I don't know how many people were there last night. I don't know if there was 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever they had.
5,000, yeah.
Was there? It didn't look that way with the lighting. Like, it was dark lighting that looked like they were trying to blacken off areas that had no people in it or something. But normally the house mics, they're facing the crowd, so it comes back into us on watching on TV.
Yeah. But I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's why I brought it up. I think there's an issue with that. I think in whatever way they're doing it, that affects your perception of the product. As a viewer, I make that, even though if I watch that show on mute, I would probably think it's the best show ever, and you're assuming people are raucous. Then you watch other AEW shows, and it's grand, but the place is jumping. And it's an inconsistency, and it affects your perception of viewership. And, like, you watch it, like, why would I want to go to that? Like, just if you're a casual American fan, and Americans are simple-brained people, if I'm watching that, why would I want to go to a show where it doesn't look like that much fun? Whereas I go to a WWE show, and, like, you go to a WWE show, 99% of them couldn't give a shit about wrestling. They're there for, like, let's all sing along to the entrance song, and, like, oh my god, it's Naomi, feel the glow, we're all going to have a DJ song, and I'm going to say, yeet, and all that kind of shit. Like, it's all crowd participation stuff. It's the same with, like, Trump crap. Like, it's all the same. It's people feeling collected and
entertainment
and, like,
entertainment.
Yeah, but what's entertaining about it, though?
Ask the people who go there. Ask the 15,000 people who are at.
You've been to WWE shows recently as well. And listen, you're a man with a brain, so much like myself, you spend half the show on your phone.
Yeah, I was just writing the results.
You're fucking bored out of your tree, anyway. I sit beside you talking to you. Right? Whereas other people, like, thank God a European audience are a bit more intelligent. But do you know what I mean? Like, what are they doing to engage the crowd? What are they doing to whip the crowd up into frenzies rather than being like respectful crowds who are just like observing the contest? Like I go to rugby games and I barely get out of my seat because I like watching. I like studying and focusing on every minute detail. That like, I mean, I'm weird. I'm I mean, if I'm watching a rugby game, you want to hear the atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, same in wrestling. You want to feel big.
If you watch a rugby game at home and the crowd goes silent when they're about to kick, you go silent at home. You don't want to be talking.
It's the same like watching rugby. It's same like watching sport during COVID, like when empty arenas and stuff. Like it was weird. But that's kind of what it attracts, I think, the way they're presenting it in between, and they're not doing a good enough job to engage the crowd and make them feel like they're at like some massive occasion. It feels like they've come to watch. The traditional wrestling sense. They've come to watch the matches. Mm-hmm. That's what people used to phrase wrestling, like in Calgary in particular. Actually, let's go watch the matches. In Memphis, all these different places. I went to watch the matches, and again, you're watching the matches. You're not feeling as emotionally invested outside of like stuff with MJF last week, Mariah this week. What are they doing in between to keep that engagement throughout? And like as a product, you're producing the first in class best product on American television. That's indisputable. That's in terms of quality, nuanced thought. Like this, obviously, it's nowhere near as good as that. But you need to do more to engage people around you. I don't know if that's bringing in a live event specialist who are firing T-shirts into the audience in between ad breaks or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of stuff.
They need sign guy.
You get some clown. I don't know, like cheerleaders at halftime or something. Do you know what I mean? Like get the minis on playing touch rugby in the ring. Do you know what I mean? Get the Artane boys band singing the anthems or something. I don't know.
They need. I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know whether it's going to help. The viewership. I don't really care about ratings. It doesn't affect us over here. I'm just going to enjoy it either way. But like they do need something. Someone needs to change for the engagement of not just the fans in the audience, but fans watching as well.
Yeah, because like I mean, WWE have upped their kind of like, oh look, shiny, bright lights, all that kind of stuff, and that's. Do you know what I mean? And that's production, and it's they realize their audience. Mm-hmm. They know their audience in terms of people like shiny things. They like flashy, shiny, sing-along things. Like rather than actually producing anything of quality.
Yeah, but like
if I've already got you in the palm of my hand, I'm just going to keep giving you what, and you're not going to go anywhere.
But wrestling fans are easy to entertain.
Yeah,
they're not. There's not much to it. Like it's
like look, shiny toy, woo, sparkly. That's kind of it. Like, whereas the production on an AEW event in person in Fairfax when I was there, it looked class. But like, I just think there's so much more they could be doing to make it feel bigger in the arena. Like when I was. I know there's other AEW pay-per-views. Like Stephanie Chase wrote a really good piece the other day about this. She went to Forbidden Door and Money in the Bank in the space of a week. Money in the Bank, like the same example when I went to Clash, I went to Backlash. The whole arena, you see people lining the streets in WWE merch. It's not WWE merch. It's also like superstar merch. All around the city, you can tell something's in town. And then walk up to the arena, they've got all these merch kind of shops popped up.
Pop-up shops, yeah.
Go to an AEW event, there's nothing like people might be wearing wrestling tops, but like there's no like bubbling excitement and anticipation. You still had like 10,000, 15,000 people at Forbidden Door. But there's no like merch fans outside. And then you go into the arena and there's no merch. There's merch stalls are selling AEW. I was there kind of branded stuff. Like a guy I respect quite heavily had an opinion was at the height of the Acclaim's fame. You'd only ever see 2 or 3 foam fingers in the crowd of that kind of scissoring thing. Every single person in the crowd should have been, like every arena around the country should have been capitalized on. They should have been buying and flogging as much foam finger products as possible. There's like in MJF's hometown in Forbidden Door, they had no T-shirts there of MJF. Do you know what I mean? It's just things like that. Like it's just cop on to fuck. Like just shoot yourself
like Wembley last year. Wembley, like they had.
Yeah, but
we had foam fingers upstairs. Like we were everywhere at Wembley.
Yeah, but like okay, well, you did it for Wembley. What else are you doing it for?
Why aren't they doing it for everywhere else? Like
I don't know. I mean, I'm not working for the marketing department. I'm not working for the merchandising department. I'm not working for their under a Cochet or a Ray.
You should be working for them. You need to drop a pitch get out there and stand in front of everybody and tell them what they're doing wrong.
But like, it's not hard. Like, you can just talk. You can quantitatively and qualitatively. You can kind of talk about. Or you can produce like a SWOT analysis of like the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are currently going on with in your organization. It's fucking easy. The opportunities and threats are ginormous. So much you can capitalize on. There's so many things you can correct that would instantly change your business model. Like, they're already a profitable business, and fair enough. Tony Khan's he focuses on the wrestling product, the wrestlers, and the producing of storylines, whatnot. Mike Mansouri on the production side of things. He's by and large doing a brilliant job. But he's going to obviously do a lot better at translating that sound, as we touched across. Koshe Irby, in terms of making the business, he's only come in the last number of months, making that business as operationally efficient and driving as much revenue as possible. And again, it's like anything, it is taking time on that front. You've got Jeremy Flynn, who's come in, the new regional director of the head of live events and venue securing and whatnot. He's doing a good job in moving away from these really backwater towns they were doing previously that made no sense attending, as they were doing Collision for a while last year, and they have improved on that front, but they're going to keep improving. But they need to get a far better handle, for example, on their marketing, the PR. Even though they've got Adam Hopkins, who used to be in WWE, John Schneider's a really nice guy, but in terms of combating what they see online and getting people out there, because they've got very few wrestling talents who are making themselves available. And like, if you go to an AEW pay-per-view as a media member, you're not. This is pretty much every event. Like for Clash of the Castle and Backlash rather, we had those media scrum days. AEW don't do that. You should be fucking firing out 50 wrestlers for days on end. Yeah. Every wrestler should be doing every week. Should be doing 2 to 3 radio spots. Should be television spots every week. You've got 1 or 2 days a week of work per week. Sit on Zoom calls. Get on radio calls. When you're in town the day before, arrive on the Tuesday morning, go out and fucking poster the town if needs be. Do a couple of days' work. And there should be somebody going around and cracking the whip and telling you, no, fuck off. If you want to get paid, you're doing this.
But that's one of the. I'm not going to say it's a pitfall of AEW, but there are only some people are getting paid, big money to work 1 day a week.
Yeah, but it's you can see why a couple of days they've got maximum 2 to 3 days a week, but I think WWE have now gone to a 3 to 4 day a week model as well because live events aren't a profitable revenue stream. Not at all. But there's so many more ways you can go about it. And like, listen, Tony Khan, they're a 5-year company, and like, there are so many things he could do to help flesh that out, but there's only so many hours in the day, and there's so many things he can put his focus on. So you're assuming that Koshe Irby, these are things he's working towards in the background, and you're hoping he is, and you're hoping that he'll be able to flesh out his team underneath him from an operational efficiency point of view. But yeah, if I ever meet the man, I'll be sitting him down and saying, we're going through Porter's 5 forces, we're going through a SWOT analysis, and you're going to go listen to every possible academic framework, and I can throw it at you to explain what you're doing wrong and what needs to be done right.
Yeah. Is there an issue with like the media side of things as well? I know they have the calls, the calls before on a Thursday before a pay-per-view or something, but you don't see a lot of AEW stars doing interviews, the way you'd see other wrestlers doing interviews with, all different types of outlets. Like, very rarely you get to see all the top talent in AEW doing interviews here or there and everywhere. Yeah,
obviously you got like Brian Danielson does like weekly interviews with or bi-weekly with like Sports Illustrated. He sits down with Mark Raymond or a couple of other people. Tony Khan, fucking fair play to him, goes out. But that's not an ego vanity piece either. I think he's like, somebody's got to do it. I'm going to promote my product better than anybody else. So that's kind of what it is. Anyway. Distracted from a product, but anyway.
I know, yeah. Outside of everything that happened, we have, the 250th episode coming up. Now we talked about this before, about some of your favorite moments in the history of AEW, like, but in Dynamite specifically, the 250th episode, is there anything stands out of the 250? It's a big list. It's there's a lot of thinking in it. Was there anything off the top of your head that was your standout moment?
There's a lot. Like, there's also so many things that are like you kind of remember from a pay-per-view perspective. I think when the FTR beat the Guns last year, started last year to win the tag team titles. The Guns came out to Many Men.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and that was the kind of like, a lot of people assumed the FTR were going to WWE, and that was their last match. And when the guns come out to many men as well, you're thinking, all right, this is their big launching point here. They're going to beat these guys. They're going to do business on the way out. That was cool. That was I really loved that. There's so many moments from during COVID as well. Like when Kenta debuts, when Gallows and Anderson debuts. Those are just really cool things because you were locked in a bedroom watching wrestling remotely around the world.
Yeah.
FTR debuted, all those Daily's Place moments. Bruce, Miro, Andrade. So, I just remember that time so vividly. Following that, like you obviously got that first Blood and Guts. You got that second Blood and Guts where Claudio appeared straight after the Forbidden Door episode. He swung Chris Jericho at the top of the cage.
Would that MJF throw Jericho off the cage and he landed on a foam padding?
Well, listen, people were being but anyway, when Ricky Starks, Winter's Coming, with Ricky Starks on the build up to facing MJF, talking about his shirt not being hard, the shirt's too fat, or load. He had a really cool promo on the way up to that, and then he faced MJF and Winter's Coming. When Kenny Omega beat John Moxley for the world title at Winter's Coming. There's a million and one moments that you can if you want to sit down with it, you could like just think about Dynamite on its own. It's unbelievable.
There's like you could literally have 250 moments for the 250. Like if I had time now, I'd put together 250 moments over one moment for every episode. That's what AEW should be doing, putting out all these moments for the next week, like building up to their 250th episode. There's 3 or 4 big matches already announced for the episode, but they should be like doing a history like of something happened and the very first episode of Dynamite was historic. They should be putting out clips of everything that happened throughout the last 250 episodes to get everybody hyped for the episode, to get people to tune in, and there's going to be something historic happening. I think
they probably will be during the week, but also at the same time, then you've got to weigh out like last week, so you've got to build up to their own heart. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have an immediate focus. You can't really do it too far in advance. I think they probably will do, and they'll probably try drop in things throughout the episode next week. But they've already got like 3 or 4 big things. Like you've got Ospreay, MJF, Okada, Swerve, Mercedes Moné's open challenges. Like, I mean, Natty Neidhart, I don't think so.
She would have answered. She would have been there last night otherwise.
Yeah, that's my thoughts, but I also don't think they need her.
Backstage maybe need her, but I don't.
Yeah, at the same time, like, okay, you've got the likes of Jamie Hayter and come back. You got Camille to come in. You got Megan Bain to come in. Like this, it's got a lot. You don't need everybody, and you can kind of. They're in a privileged position now where they're building.
Well, their women's division is phenomenal.
Yeah, and now they can keep sacking people who are doing fuck all behind the scenes and are leeching and moaning and whatnot. Like, listen, if you want to move from AEW Dark and go off to NXT and be a champion there for a few weeks, grand.
Have they announced or have they made it official a Ring of Honor women's title where that's going to end up now that it's Athena versus Queen Aminata, and then you've got Billy Starks versus Red Velvet. Is Athena not injured?
No. No, you gotta watch your weekly programming, Jerry.
Ring of Honor. She needs to be on AEW Dynamite every week.
I know. I think soon enough. Soon.
It's too soon. It's not soon enough. She should have been on ages ago. I'm gonna wind you up a little bit.
Good luck with that.
AEW. We're gonna say they missed out on Stephanie. I'm going to pronounce her surname wrong now. Vaquer. They missed out on signing her. What are your thoughts on her going to WWE? If the reports are true.
It's just a shame. That's you're like, oh, that's shit. Like, because like you're not going to go to WWE to wrestle. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go to NXT, you're going to handhold these people, these gymnasts and stuff, and like the PC can't produce anybody for shit these days. They're having to rely on like people,
gymnasts,
from TNA to come in. Like, do you know what I mean? And like that's not like, it's cool for people who don't really understand it, but like it's not really a good thing. And they're not helping TNA in any shape or form at all.
Not yet. Joe Hendry just.
No, I know, but like, there's no benefit, actual tangible benefit for TNA as a company. It helps their talent get Joe Hendry over, but like nobody's going to go tune into TNA. People are just going to wait for NXT for it to come back. So like there's things like that. Like you kind of like what you're going to do. Obviously, you're not going to do much wrestling on NXT. She doesn't need to learn how to roll, which they all get told to do in the PC. She's going to do the Florida Loop. Like, kind of just feels like a waste, and it's unfortunate. And like obviously, it's brilliant for her. She's from Chile, and like where WWE is the only thing on TV there, and it's a lifelong ambition and stuff. And like on that front, like that's really cool for somebody, and they're going to get incredibly well paid. And obviously, there's things like her ex-husband who's in jail in Mexico, and he wasn't being released from jail because the judge deemed it wasn't safe for her as of yet. But if she leaves America, if she leaves for America, he could then be free. It's so many things like that. It's like that domestic violence case. Like and also in AEW, the story is like he tried to strangle her. That's why he's in jail. Guy called Quartero. But also in AEW, Rush and Dralistico have like campaigned for his release. So like again, we're here in Ireland, right? And like people watching on BodySlamNet, probably more factual information, but there's people on different sides of the fence in Mexico who some would say like, oh, he's innocent. He's got his side of the story. Somebody else got their side of the story. So like it's a he said, she said, right? But if you're in Stephanie Bakura's position, like I need to get out of Mexico. Do you know what I mean? There's people of like Lucha Blog, Rob Viper. These guys across Twitter have also hinted for a long time that like it's probably in their best interest to leave Mexico, full stop. Mm-hmm. So you've got a number of different reasons there why she could move. Like I spoke to her last week, and she was like, "Yeah, we'll have a sit down next week." And then she had opportunities. She'd committed to New Japan, Fantastica Mania. WWE got onto her on Friday, and so we're offering you this, and this. We want to fly you up to NXT. As a result, she no-showed. They made her no-show show in CMLL last weekend. Mm-hmm. She turned up to her show like an hour before her match on Tuesday against Tessa Blanchard in Guadalajara. Told them after the match she was leaving. Refused to do any business in the way because WWE told her, no, we want you now. We want you to be on the 2 shows we're running in Monterrey and Guadalajara in Mexico this coming weekend. So after all the commitments she's had with like Rev Pro, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all these big dates that she's been like front and center of promotion as being one of the main talents performing, she now has to renege on because WWE tell her to. So I don't know, like sometimes like bad guys win, and like that's why it feels like disappointing because no other company in the world would make you do that. Well,
she couldn't like risk injury going out doing shows if they wanted to have her on those big house shows.
Yeah, but you could say, I'll join you, brilliant, but I've got these commitments. I've already signed up to these shows. I could say, okay, listen, when those commitments are finished, you can join us. That's a professional way of doing things.
It is, but
instead of saying no, you're not going next weekend, you're bailing very last second, and you're not going to give any reason, you're just leaving. That's unprofessional. And then also at the same time, WWE today we're talking about. There's an article came out from Inside the Ropes about WWE looking to do a partnership with Rangers Football Club around jerseys and things like that. And you're like, listen, sometimes bad people deserve each other. Like
they picked a bad weekend. They picked a bad weekend for that.
If they want to run shows in Ibrox and I don't know have 50,000 zombies in the crowd. And then Tony Khan, listen, I'll put you in touch with Celtic Football Club, and you can have a WWE show in Mordor, you can have a AEW show in Paradise. Like that's your options.
Imagine the battle then.
Good and evil, right and wrong. But anyway, so Stephanie Bakura, like that's it's a shame, but I think it's a shame as a fan because like you want Stephanie Bakura, the wrestler, and I think she had every intention of like following up with New Japan, CMLL, and AEW following Forbidden Door. I was speaking to her myself.
That way, yeah. It seemed.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, yeah, cool." Like, she was in her promos after Forbidden Door. She's like, "Oh, this isn't the last time you see me. I will have my rematch in AEW with Mercedes Moné." Like that's somebody who's obviously come in and thrown the world at her, and do you know what I mean? And kind of put demands on her. And again, it's like I was chatting to somebody a while ago, like. You never know when your opportunity is going to, if you say no now, it's going to come back later. If this is your lifelong, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of situation. It's kind of an unfair position for a lot of people. Same like football or rugby. Like if people get like transfer windows, people can leave straight away because they worry like, oh, what if I pick up an injury the next year and this never happens? I never get this big payday in the Premier League or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to her. I'm sure she'll be happy there as long as she's still getting paid. So, Mark, you mentioned you've spoken there. I know you were due to interview her, but you are due to interview a few people coming up this week. Let the people know what you have coming up.
So we've got a scheduled sit down with Donovan Dijak. Got Shane Hayes from New Japan.
Who just signed the new contract, right?
Signed with New Japan, yeah. Walker Stewart, he's due to be chatting to me over the weekend at some point as well. Justin Dillon from the Wrestling Classic. Monday, speaking to Myron Reed from the Rascals. Nice, yeah. Very clever of me, getting ahead of the posse. Who else? Possibly Mark Pickering from Noah. He's the Welsh commentator for Noah. A guy called Stuart Fulton from Noah as well. Hopefully to chat about all goes on in Destination 2024 from they just saw as Naomichi Marufuji match. A lot of people I'm in contact with in the minute, like Savante Gogo and stuff. So it's all to be announced as well. I'll keep people abreast of the situation as it develops.
Absolutely. And stay tuned to Body Slam on the Irish Wrestling and Entertainment pages for all those interviews and other episodes coming up. And we will be back next week, same time, same channel. Nothing to do with Batman, even though AEW might be teaming up with Warner Brothers in the future. But we'll see what happens. But until the next time, guys.
Batman, I love you. Wow.
Oh, imagine it. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care.